I just got off work. I've been up since 2 o'clock this morning for no darn good reason whatsoever. I did my workout at 5 o'clock, worked my shift, spent a couple of hours in traffic. And when I got home, I still had to put dinner on the table. So I thought this was gonna be the perfect week to bring you an easy weeknight dinner meal. So we're gonna do French dip sliders. It's real food and it's easy to put together on those nights when you are just done for the day. Hi, I'm Tina, and on this channel, I share high protein, low carb recipes that taste good. I eat low carb because I have to. I have reactive hypoglycemia and a low carb diet is the treatment. So before I jump into this recipe, there's just something I want to say real quick. I hope you don't mind. Last week when I recorded my video, I had just over 200 subscribers, and this week, while I'm recording, I have just over 2,000 subscribers. Last week's video was my personal journey through weight loss, and I cannot tell you how touched and humbled I am that my story resonated with so many of you, and that so many of you decided to subscribe to my channel. I just can't even tell you how much it means to me and how personally thankful I am that you took that time to subscribe. So I just want you to know that I'm gonna do my very best to bring you the most awesome recipes that I possibly can. So enough with this happy stuff, let's get cooking. So all sliders gotta start with the bun, right? So I am using Hero's Hawaiian rolls for my recipe. I am very partial to the Hero brand. I'm not sponsored, I wish I was, but I'm not. But I love their products. They have each of these rolls has 4 grams of protein and 11 grams of fiber. So 0 net carbs, which is awesome. Not often you get to have bread for 0 net carbs. All right, so we're gonna just slice this in half horizontally so that we have 2 slabs. Now, I broke my buns, so hopefully your buns are all together. And I don't cut my hands here, but let's see. I'm struggling with this a little bit here. I kind of chewed up the ends. All right. Maybe use a better knife than I just used so you don't chew up the ends of your buns. All right, so I'll flip this over and we're gonna lay the bottom part in our pan. Okay, I'm gonna just set these aside for now. The next step is just simply layering the roast beef and the provolone cheese onto the sliders. I got a pound of freshly sliced deli roast beef from the grocery store. And then I'm just gonna layer this on the buns. Of course, I have to pay the roast beef tax. So, there you go, baby. So we're gonna follow up the roast beef with some provolone cheese. Now this calls for 6 slices, which is how I wrote it. And I don't know why I wrote it for 6 because I usually always put 8, but I was worried, I think maybe that people would think it was too cheesy because I like a lot of cheese. So I'm gonna leave the recipe as 6 if you wanna use 6, but I'm gonna use 8. There we go. All right, so we're gonna set this aside and get the onions ready that are gonna go on next. So the onion's really the hardest part of the whole meal, and we wanna slice up a medium onion. This is a big onion, so I'm not gonna probably use all of this, either that or I'm just gonna cut enough off of it where I'll have the equivalent of a medium onion, which I think that's what I'll do. All right, so that's about a medium onion. So I cut mine in half and just slice this way. Let me go ahead and turn on the heat. So I don't know that this is gonna be a real true caramelization of the onions because that takes a long time and this is an easy weeknight dinner. So basically I want them to get like a golden brown and I want them soft and sweetish, but they're not gonna be a total caramelized onion like a true French dip would be. Now, if you wanna take the time to go ahead and caramelize the onions, that I think would be perfectly fine and very tasty. but I'm tired, if I haven't told you that already. So I am definitely gonna go the quick route. All right. So we'll just throw these in the pan with a little bit of salt and pepper. Now, while we get these going, we can just go ahead and chop up the parsley and get that out of the way. They're gonna go on the tops of our sliders. So there's not really a measurement here because I'm just sprinkling it on the top till it looks like I want it to look. But I did measure it out when I was writing up the recipe card, and I'd say it's about 1/8 of a cup of chopped parsley is what I used. So let's go ahead and chop this up. So, fun fact, did you know that the French dip sandwich wasn't even from France? That it actually started in Los Angeles? Because I didn't know that. And there's also apparently a couple of restaurants out there that have been arguing for like 100 years about who invented it first. So this is about where I like my onions. They're nice and golden brown and they're soft. So I think they're done. We're gonna go ahead and call it. Turn this off and go ahead and just transfer these directly onto my sliders. We just want to make sure they're spread out nice and evenly. So each one has some onion on it. So we're going to melt 3 tablespoons of butter to put on the top of these sliders. I found that with any Hawaiian roll, but specifically the low carb versions, when you bake them in the oven, they get a little extra crispy, crumbly on the top. It's kind of hard to explain, but it kind of gets like a layer of air between the bread and the top, and then that gets kind of crumbly, and it tends to break apart when you're trying to dip it in the au jus. So I found that originally I just had 2 tablespoons of butter that I kind of coated the top with, but I think that the 3 tablespoons works much better at keeping them from getting so crumbly. So we're just gonna let that finish melting real quick, and then we're gonna coat the tops of our rolls. So we're just gonna brush this liberally on each of these rolls to ensure that they all get nice and coated so that it keeps that moisture in there. Now, I will share, when I was working this recipe over the last couple of months, I've tried different variations of things to see what works better. And one time I put the parsley in the butter and was going to spread it all together like a sauce, and that was a complete disaster. And the parsley all kind of clumped up and just kind of settled into different spots. So just wanted to let you know so that you don't try doing the same thing. All right, and then I just sprinkle a little bit of garlic powder on the top. Okay. Followed by some fresh chopped parsley. I still clumped it up in the middle. Now, me and parsley are not friends today. Okay, that looks about where I want it. Now, another trick to keep these from drying out is to make sure that they're tightly sealed in aluminum foil when we stick them in the oven. All right, so now we're going to put these in the oven at 350 degrees for 15 to 20 minutes. My oven is the 20-minute mark on this particular recipe. So while those are finishing up in the oven, we'll just go ahead and make up our au jus sauce really quick. And it is really quick because I like to use this Watkins au jus mix, but we're gonna zhuzh it up a bit. So this one calls for 3 cups of water. I like to use 1.5 cups of water and 1.5 cups of beef stock. I think it just gives it a richer flavor that way, adds a little bit of depth. There we go. I also like to add a teaspoon of garlic powder and 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. I think it gives it more of a true au jus flavor that way. There we go. So we'll just stir this and we'll let it get to a boil, and then we'll turn it down and simmer it for a minute. It might help if I actually put the gravy mix in the pot with the rest of the ingredients. Have I told you I was tired? All right. Let's see. That looks more like it. It smells much more like it too. We'll give this a little taste and just see if it needs any salt or pepper. Nope, it's good as is. All right, it's time to get them out of the oven and see how everything came out. There we go. So I'm waiting on these to cool for the taste test. Just want to let you know that I load all of my recipes in MyFitnessPal. You'll find this one under ShePrepsSmart French Dip Sliders. Now, I will call out that for the macros on this one, I separated out the slider from the au jus because I figured that everybody was going to use a different amount of au jus. So I separated those two out in MyFitnessPal and on the recipe card, so you'll have those. For my TV viewers, I'm gonna pop a QR code right here, so that'll take you directly to that. For the rest of everyone, I'm gonna drop a link down in the description below. Now let's get the tasting. All right, so what I like to do is just use the fork and the knife and go down the lines. Makes it a little bit easier, I think. It's probably self-intuitive, and I probably really didn't even need to say that, but you know, I'll say it anyway. Bell's back for her another taste. Got to pay some more of that roast beef tax. All right. All right, let's see what we got going on here. Do we have some cheese pull? I have some cheese drip, not exactly a cheese pull. It is quite melty. All right, I need a napkin. So, there is no being nice and neat and tidy with this particular sandwich. You're gonna just probably wanna wear a bib or have a lot of napkins handy. All right, so we'll just dip this right in here to get that crunchy bit on the top. It's warm and juicy, melts in your mouth. The au jus gives it a really nice, savory, beefy flavor. You can get the cheese creaminess coming through. It is such a good little sandwich. All right, so as far as storage, for this I would store in an airtight container in the refrigerator, probably not longer than overnight. I don't feel like sandwiches reheat very well to begin with, and then reheating it more from a day from now probably just wouldn't do very well. When I reheat them the next day, I do it in the air fryer, 360 degrees for about 6 minutes, wrapped in aluminum foil to keep that moisture in. And the au jus I just reheat in the microwave. So that's it. An easy, high protein, low carb dinner meal that's ready fast when you need it fast. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, I'm gonna put a link to my bowls and salads playlist right here because it has some meal prep lunches in it that I think you might like. If you find something that you do like, I hope you consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you for watching my video.